In April 1815, a mountain on Sumbawa made the sky disappear. Mount Tambora erupted with such force that people far away heard the blast, while nearby homes, fields, and whole villages vanished under ash. The strangest part came later. The people who suffered most knew there had been a disaster. Much of the wider world did not know why the sun had grown weak. Sumbawa is an island in what is now Indonesia. In 1815, it was home to farmers, traders, rulers, and small villages shaped by the sea. Mount Tambora stood above them, quiet for years. Then, in April, the ground began to break its long silence. Smoke rose. Ash fell. The warning was real, but it was not clear enough to tell every family to run. The eruption grew into a chain of blasts. Ash filled the air, and darkness spread across the land. Crops were buried. Water became hard to trust. Animals died, and food stores ran low. Many people died near the mountain, but the full death toll remains uncertain. Records were damaged, people disappeared, and later writers made estimates from broken reports. The suffering was certain. The exact number was not. News moved slowly across the islands. Ships carried reports, but storms, distance, and fear delayed them. On Java, the British official Stamford Raffles gathered accounts of the event. His reports helped preserve what might have been lost. They told of strange darkness, loud blasts, falling ash, and people trying to live through a world that no longer worked as it had before. Raffles was not standing inside the eruption. His evidence came through reports from officials, travelers, and local witnesses. That matters. A report passed from one person to another can lose detail. It can also keep a truth alive. In this case, many accounts pointed in the same direction. Mount Tambora had not simply damaged one town. It had changed the air above a large part of the region. The mountain itself had changed too. Its great summit was torn apart, leaving a vast crater. The land around it carried the marks of fire, ash, and hunger. This was not just a tale of a loud mountain. It was a physical case file, written in broken ground and buried soil. The evidence showed that a local volcanic disaster could reach far beyond the people who saw it. The first victims faced a simple question with no good answer. Should they stay near their homes, where food and shelter remained, or leave for an unknown road? A family might have land, tools, and relatives in one place, yet no clean water. Leaving could save them. It could also mean walking into hunger. History often records the blast. It rarely records each hard choice made after it. The damage did not end when the mountain grew quiet. Ash can ruin fields long after it falls. It can cover seeds, hurt animals, and break the work of many seasons. A farmer who survived the night could still lose the next year. A child who lived through the darkness could face a home with no harvest. Survival was not a single moment. It was a long fight against an empty storehouse. Then the story crossed the sea. High above the ground, the eruption had sent sulfur gases into the upper air. There, they formed tiny bits that spread around the planet. These bits could reflect some sunlight back into space. The result was a colder, darker world, not everywhere in the same way, but across many lands. The change did not arrive like a wall of flame. It came as weather that seemed wrong. In 1816, Parts of Europe and North America faced cold months, heavy rain, failed crops, and summer snow. This became known as the year without a summer. The name sounds almost playful. The reality was not. A summer without warmth could mean bread without grain. Farmers watched their plants fail and searched for reasons. Some blamed bad luck, others blamed war, strange weather, or the anger of heaven. The eruption was not widely known as the cause. News from Sumbawa had not reached every person who felt the cold. People were living inside a global effect while seeing only their own wet field, empty barn, or rising food price. In Europe, food became harder to afford in many places. Poor families felt the change first. When grain costs rise, a rich household may eat less well. A poor household may go hungry. Crowds, protests, and unrest followed in some areas. But historians must be careful. The cold did not create every conflict by itself. War, debt, and weak harvests also mattered. Tambora added pressure to a world already under strain. North America faced its own trouble. Frost hurt crops during months that should have brought growth. People moved in search of better land and safer work. Some migration had many causes, so no honest historian can tie every journey to Mount Tambora. Still, failed harvests pushed families to think about leaving. A faraway mountain had entered private decisions made beside cold stoves and bare fields. The eruption also entered the world of art and fear. In 1816, writers in Europe gathered during a cold, stormy summer and created dark stories. Later accounts connect that mood to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The link is credible, but the exact path is not a neat chain from ash to book. A Strange Climate did not write the novel. It helped shape the uneasy world in which the story was made. Science slowly changed the meaning of the disaster. Weather records gave researchers a way to compare distant places. Later climate studies used ice, tree growth, and written reports to trace the reach of the eruption. These records do not speak with one voice. They carry gaps and errors. Yet together they show a strong pattern. The air changed, sunlight weakened, and weather shifted after 1815. The official story of a volcano often begins with a mountain and ends with a crater. That version is easy to draw. It is also incomplete. The true story includes people who lost farms, officials who struggled to count the dead, sailors who carried late news, and families who never heard the word Tambora. It includes hunger in places that had no ash on their roofs. There is also a grim irony in the silence. The people closest to Mount Tambora had the clearest proof of what had happened, but the least power to spread their story. Distant nations had printing presses, ships, and records, yet many people there could not explain their own cold. Knowledge traveled in the wrong order. Pain arrived first. Understanding came much later. The eruption did not change the world by magic, and it did not cause every hardship blamed on it. The exact link between Tambora and later unrest remains difficult to measure. Some claims are too simple. Some later retellings make the disaster sound like a single hidden hand moving history. The evidence says something both quieter and more frightening. Nature can add one great shock to many human weaknesses. That is why the year without a summer still matters. It shows that climate is not a distant idea for scientists alone. It can decide whether a seed grows, whether bread is sold, whether a family stays, and whether a crowd loses patience. The same air touches a village near a volcano and a farm across an ocean. A local event can become a shared crisis before most people know its name. Mount Tambora did not conquer the world. It did not send an army. It sent ash and gas into the sky, then left human beings to explain the cold. The mountain's most lasting mark may not be the crater or even the broken villages. It may be the lesson hidden in the missing warmth of 1816. The world is connected long before people understand that they are living inside the same disaster. If you want to uncover more forgotten history, subscribe for new stories every week.